If I could only buy one item in One Piece, what would it be? This is something that someone asked me on my Pokemon channel, and I figured it was such a good question. I had to make a video on my Pokemon channel, but I also had to make a video on my One Piece channel as well. Just to be clear, on my Pokemon channel, I made it talking about Pokemon items, not One Piece, but yeah. So what would I buy if I could only buy one thing in One Piece? And today I'm going to be talking about that. But before I do, I think that it's important that I firstly explain some other things so you can really see the magnitude. And I feel like when you want to look at investing in trading cards, this is a really good way to figure out what is worth buying and what isn't. So first of all, I'm just going to quickly ask you a question, and then I'm going to ask another one and then answer the question. So got some stuff to talk about, don't want to waste your time. Let's just begin. Okay, so first of all, why do trading cards go up so much? Specifically boxes. The reason is because it is a deflationary item. The supply shrinks. Why does the supply shrink? Because people open it. Why do people open it? Because people are chasing a top chase. Why are people chasing it? This is where it gets a little tricky. There are two main reasons why people chase things. The number one is because they want to experience pulling it themselves versus buying it on the secondary market. This is a big culture in trading cards where it's like you can just buy the card for $100 or you can spend $500 and pull it yourself. They would rather spend $500 and pull it themselves because you get the excitement. That's number one. But the clear winner that has really overtaken is they want a grail, they don't want to pay the price. So they want to take a shot at getting it for a cheaper price. It's just like the lottery system. You can win $1 million, so you can be a millionaire right now, so you can put in 30 years of work and become a millionaire in 30 years, or you can become a millionaire right now, but it's a chance. You're not guaranteed to get it. Well, it's the same thing as trading cards. How many people want to pull a red mango Luffy? Well, how many people, want to own one? Well, you can just go ahead and try and pull it. Same thing goes for Gear 5 Luffy, signature, any card. And this is why trading cards do so well. There are other collectibles like pop figures. There are other things like watches, and there's other little nitty gritties. But the thing is, they don't have anything on trading cards because they're deflationary, which means there can be a drop off in demand, but it can still go up. As long as people are opening it up, you're fine. If something like OP10 has a drop off in demand, yeah, well, it's probably going to go down. But if something like OP13 has a drop-off in demand, well, okay, that doesn't really matter because it still gets ripped incredibly a lot. Like, I'd be willing to bet, every single, from when you started this video to now, there's probably been, 100 booster packs been opened. Maybe even more. It's insane. But anyways, as besides the point. So, now that we've kind of, really pinned down on why it does so well and what you're looking for, now, when you're looking to buy an item, you should really be looking at you should look at the problem and then you should look at the solution. So what is the problem? People urge to get the highest return on opening up booster packs. So then what's the solution? The highest returning booster pack. That is the solution. So in translation, today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about a bunch of different sets, and then at the end I'm going to reveal, well, not at the end, in a minute I'm going to reveal the set that I'm talking about, and I'm going to go a little bit more deeper into it. So first of all, let me start off with something like OPO5. If you open up one OPO5 booster pack, let's just say booster pack. Yes, I understand they can be mapped, I understand they can be weighed, but for the sake of the equation, we're going to be talking about booster packs. How I get the value of it is I get a booster box and then just divide it by 24. I'm not going to get sleeved blister. I'm not going to get any weird websites or something. I'm just going to get the value of a booster box and just divide it by 24. That means with OPO5, you would 455x your money if you pulled a Manga Luffy and graded a PSA 10. We're going to be talking in PSA 10 prices, and the reason is because PSA is so influential. More PSA 10s sell than raw cards. In fact, raw cards are nearly impossible to find. It's basically just PSA 10s that sell, so we're going to be using that as the equation. And also, every single video online always says, oh my goodness, this is a $20,000 card in a PSA 10. No one says, it's a 10 grand card raw. They always say how expensive it is as a PSA 10, so we're going to be using that as the equation. So that means you would 455x your money if you pulled a Gear 5 Luffy and graded it, which is a pretty good return. However, it does get a little bit more intense. OP11, if you pulled the top chase from that, you would 892x your money, which is a lot. And this is where it starts to really get interesting, and this is where you start to, starts to become a little bit more clear on what's worth buying and what isn't. Next, OP09, you would 904x your money if you pulled the gold Roger and graded a PSA 10. That is a really substantial amount. Right now, One Piece is looking really, really juicy to open up. It's looking worth it. You're really fixing that problem. I think the reason why One Piece is so popular right now is that the stakes are a lot higher, which makes it more intriguing. With Pokemon, if you pull a Phantasmal Flames Charizard, you pull a $500 card. For One Piece, there is not a single set that the top chase isn't at least $500. I just want to quickly say before we continue this video, if you are enjoying, please do consider giving a like and commenting. Basically, every single time you comment and like, basically just interacting with the post, it helps push out the video more. It tells YouTube that you enjoy the video and it should be pushed out to more people. So yes, even your one like will still help out the channel a lot. So I really appreciate everyone who does that. And if you're not in the Discord server, make sure to join it. Also, if you are planning to pick up anything on TCGPlayer or eBay, please do consider just using my affiliate link. Thank you very much. But anyways, let's continue with the video. So, like, something that a lot of people are really hyped for Pokemon is just a bad day for One Piece. And I think that's why it's stolen a lot of the show. Something a lot of people don't mention is that pulling a One Piece card is like tremendously more rare. To pull a manga, it's usually like 1 in 2 to 4 cases. So it's like anywhere from 24 to like 48 boxes. Honestly, I don't think it's 24. It's more like 48. It's usually around the 48 box range. So the difference is with Pokemon, a lot of time it can be like 1 in 5, 6, 7 boxes to pull one. So that is kind of the difference there. But nonetheless, it is still more intriguing when you watch someone open up One Piece boxes because the stakes are a lot higher. Now, the star of today is OP13. If you pull the red Luffy in Grade 10, even at the ridiculous box price that it is now, you still 923x your money, which is the largest return you can make from any booster box. Now, well, booster pack. Now, the reason why this is so interesting, I'll talk about it more in a sec, but the thing is, that's why I feel like when people are complaining, saying how expensive OP13 is, don't get me wrong, it is kind of annoying and it is kind of weird that like such a new set is this expensive, but it does make sense. If the demand for the red Luffy drops off, okay, yeah, that box is probably going to go to 500, probably. But that is on a very big if. The card is incredibly rare, it's incredibly desired, and the One Piece TCG is doing incredibly well. So it would really take a lot for the red Luffy to drop off in demand, but if it did, then yeah, okay, the box would probably pull back as well, considering the fact that it is so new and so expensive. But like, it's probably not going to happen, or it may pull back a bit. But anyways, the point is that is a fact. You would make the best return opening up OP13. Now, that is the star of today's video, OP13. That is the box. If you didn't pick it up, that is the box that I'm talking about on what item I would buy. Now, this is the beauty about this. This is not the only, like, formula that you can use. There are other things that you can use in order to evaluate which box is worth buying and which one is your number one priority. Because if I could only own one box, and let's just say my answer is OP13, which it is, well then that's obviously your number one priority. That is the box that you should be prioritizing. Okay, great. Well, not only it smacks every single other set out of the water, it is the highest returning set from booster pack to top chase as a PSA 10, or even just as a top chase to begin with. PSA 10 or not, you still make the best returns. So then the next thing to talk about is the rest of the set and set value. And this is where you can use all these different formulas to realistically come up with your answer. So formulas. So the next formula is set value. If you look at something like OP05, you've got, what, about 15 grand worth of value inside. But then if you look at something like OP13, I believe it's about the 35 grand range, which is the largest across any other set by a long, long shot. So when you really add everything up, OP13 almost looks cheap. Here you go. If I could only buy one set, it would be OP13. So then the question is, what's the point of buying anything else? Well, the point is that you lower your average return, but you also lower your risk. Now, it depends on how much risk you actually think is there. Everyone can come up with their own debate on why there's a lot of risk or why there's no risk. So somebody could say it's a brand new set, it's probably going to get reprinted, it's probably going to go down, which is a valid argument. But then on the other side, you can say, well, it's still really high set value. And then the other side can say, well, yeah, but that can go down. And the other side, and they can just keep going back and forth. So you kind of just have to come up with your own opinion and then kind of stick to it and then see if it was right or if it was wrong. If it was right, happy days. If it was wrong, you can now learn for next time to adjust it a bit. Facts is, it is like a 35 35 grand set value. The top chase is the best return, even at $635 a box, which is the cheapest you can get right now on TCGplayer. It's still the best returning set. So that kind of makes you think like, oh, okay, maybe it's actually pretty cheap right now. Like OPO5, you know, I love OPO5. I think OPO5 is the most iconic One Piece set, absolutely. However, I'm just going to go out and say it, it's not worth opening. It just simply isn't. It's too expensive and the return is not there. Because when cards are so rare to pull, it all becomes a blur. Whether it's 1 in 5 cases, 1 in 10 cases, 1 in 7 cases, it's all the same thing. No one's going to look at it and go, oh man, but the red Luffy is so difficult to pull. No, you're just going to see larger dollar signs and you're going to buy into it. It's the same thing as the lottery. The most popular lotteries are always the biggest ones. That's what gets people going. It's not the winning $10,000. I don't even know if that even is a lottery. They don't even host ones that small. Usually the top prize is in the millions, sometimes even over $1 billion, because that's what gets people going, even though the probability is astronomically smaller. So then you kind of just got to look at what works there and then just apply it here. So yeah, that's practically it. I thought this was such an interesting question. I just felt like I had to make a video on it. I know my previous video was about OP13, so I apologize if it did get a bit repetitive, but I thought it was such a good question and it's such a good way to approach that question as well. So I felt like I just had to share it. This is such a good way to really analyze what is worth buying and what isn't. And I think that's something that a lot of people have done with like OP11, where it was kind of slept on, but then it's done really well because it's just such a good set. Like even OP11, for the record, that's one of the best yielding sets. Could be a $600 box soon. Who realistically knows? It's better than some anniversary sets. I mean, there's 3 of them, but in my opinion, it is kind of... Oh, it's not as... Okay, look, maybe it's not better than... You know what it is? It's the best set that isn't an anniversary. Actually, that's the best way to put it. It's the best set that isn't an anniversary set. Let me know if you think I'm wrong. Mate, you can argue PRBO2. I think that's valid. If you do believe that, valid. But we can at least agree OP11 is somewhat up there. But it's like you're not going to get to that conclusion unless you use some formulas, looking at set value, looking at top chase, looking at different things. So it's definitely just a good way to approach things. But yeah, that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.